Gamers can't seem to get enough of open-world games. Titles like The Witcher 3 and Elden Ring have sold tens of millions of copies. And even established franchises like Pokemon and Zelda have jumped on the open-world bandwagon. Even though these games are incredibly popular, the genre is oversaturated, and that means some amazing open-world games have managed to fly under the radar. Some games were released at the wrong time, while others unfairly received negative reviews. Not all of these games are masterpieces, but everyone is a hidden gem that's worth checking out.
Part zombie game, part biker-themed open-world adventure, Days Gone got a surprisingly tough reception from critics when it launched. Since then, however, the game has developed a devoted following, and many gamers love its setting and story. It stars Deakin St. John, a biker who travels across a post-apocalyptic version of Oregon when he discovers his wife may still be alive. Days Gone is one of the best zombie games out there, and does a great job of showing players what life could be like after an undead outbreak. The title got a fantastic remaster in 2025, so now is the perfect time for gamers who slept on it the first time around to give Days Gone a try.
The Saboteur had all the makings of a masterpiece when it arrived in 2009. It had a historical setting, taking place in occupied France during World War II, but the game brought it to life in a stylized, cinematic way. Occupied areas are gray and devoid of color when they're under the control of the Germans, and when players free them through stealth and sabotage, they become vibrant and colorful again. Sadly, the Saboteur suffered from technical issues like poor enemy AI, which kept it from being as good as it could have been. Despite that, the game's developed a cult following over the years. Now that the Saboteur is on Steam, players can use third-party patches that fix its biggest flaws and let the best parts of the game shine.
Brutal Legend is what happens when a metalhead gets a full budget and creative license for a video game. The developer, Double Fine, who is also known for creating the industry classic Psychonauts, decided to base the game on the fantasy-inspired lyrics and album art of their favorite metal bands. When it became clear Jack Black was a fan of Psychonauts and had obvious musical connections, he stepped into the lead role. One of the best things about Brutal Legend is how it works so many different subgenres of metal, like death and glam metal, into the game. The gameplay itself is also a lot of fun, with basic but enjoyable hack and strum combat carried out with the flying V guitar. Brutal Legend also has strategy elements and even an army building mechanic that's presented as an impromptu gig. The Technomancer flew completely under the radar when it was released in 2016. It's set in the same universe as Mars, Warlogs, and takes place during the War of Water, 200 years after humanity's first colonization of Mars. In this universe, a Technomancer refers to someone who uses both magic and technology to gain power. The game follows Zachariah, a rookie Technomancer who finds himself on the run from the secret police. Throughout the game, players can explore 3 different combat styles: Warrior, Rogue, and Guardian. Warrior focuses on combat, Rogue focuses on dodging and stealth, and Guardian emphasizes defensive capabilities. There are 3 different endings to this game, and each ending can be modified in various ways depending on the choices made by the player throughout the game. It's a great sci-fi open-world game that doesn't get the credit it deserves. The First Risen was a brilliant fantasy game, featuring magic and titans, all set in a world inspired by Sicily. Risen 2, Dark Waters, however, took the series in a very different direction. While monsters, magic, ancient gods, and voodoo remain integral to the game, it shifted from traditional fantasy to a pirate-themed setting for both the protagonist and the world. The game faced some criticism upon release, including complaints about not giving players full control of the ship during sailing and challenging combat. However, these drawbacks don't detract from Risen's overall quality. Every location in the game is visually stunning and more detailed than most games in the open world genre.
While the pirate theme could have fallen into typical cliches, the developers avoided this by preserving the serious fantasy RPG elements and storytelling and adding a pirate twist.
Indie open-world games are rare, but Sable proves that smart developers can still make fantastic games. It follows Sable, a young character on a quest to retrieve a mask as part of a rite of passage before returning home. Set on the ruined desert planet of Midden, the game has Sable exploring an open world, guided by various NPCs who help her discover her place within it. It's easy to imagine Sable becoming a cult classic over time, especially thanks to its unique gameplay mechanics. There's no combat, and the fully non-linear open world unfolds its narrative through dialogue with NPCs and environmental storytelling. Players traverse the land on a hoverbike platforming through sand dunes and ancient ruins scattered across the map.
Sunset Overdrive was an early title for the original Xbox One, released within a year of the console's launch. Set in 2027, the game takes place in the fictional Sunset City. In this universe, an energy drink called Overcharge has started mutating its consumers into horrifying monsters known as ODs. The protagonist, a disgruntled employee of the energy drink company, ventures into the chaotic city to fight off these mutants. This title is hugely underrated and offers incredible character customization that lets players create their ideal hipster hero. Sunset Overdrive also has a fantastic and upbeat soundtrack that's a perfect match for the gameplay style. The protagonist can wall run, grind rails, and use zip lines to easily explore the world. Players who like open world games with character customization will definitely want to check this title out. Elex 2 might be a sequel, but it's also a great entry point for newcomers to the series. Players once again play the protagonist, Jax, from the first game, as he explores a sprawling, fantastical world, often with the aid of a jetpack. The introduction of an outer space substance called Elex has allowed some members of society to harness its power, which gives them abilities akin to magic. This game has elements that feel reminiscent of a fan-made mod for a fantasy series like The Outer Scrolls. Players can go from a sword fight one moment to wielding a grenade launcher the next. This series has seemingly flown under the radar since its launch, which is a shame. Elex 2 is a game that thinks outside the box and feels totally different from other titles in this genre.
It's almost remarkable that there have been so few Mad Max video games over the years. 2015's Max Max takes place in a hugely expansive wasteland that's beautiful to look at, with detailed character designs that are true to the franchise's gritty aesthetic. Beyond that, the gameplay shines. Both on-foot and vehicle combat have been given equal attention here, and as a result, the mechanics feel sharp and impactful. The game begins with Max being stripped of his equipment and car. Soon after, he encounters Chumbucket, a hunchbacked mechanic and self-proclaimed prophet. Chumbucket tells Max about his role in a prophecy to build the Magnum Opus, a legendary vehicle, and take down the raider gangs of Gastown. The rest of the game revolves around Max helping settlements to grow and upgrading his car and equipment. It's up there with the best movie-based games of all time. Two Worlds is a deeply immersive open-world RPG set in the fantasy land of Antilor that's been a victim of unfortunate timing. Released in 2007, Two Worlds was overshadowed by the Game of the Year edition of The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and its Shivering Isles DLC, along with the first Mass Effect and The Witcher. Its sequel, Two Worlds 2, faced similar challenges in 2010, competing with titles like Fable 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Mass Effect 2. This high fantasy RPG is open-ended and linear, with a completely optional main story. Players can enjoy exploring its enormous, diverse world filled with countless enemy types, all with minimal loading screens. Two standout features include the realism of needing blunt weapons to defeat skeletons and the ability to purchase and wear an orc disguise to infiltrate their ranks.
Out of all the Grand Theft Auto-inspired games, Sleeping Dogs stands out as one of the best and is easily on par with the Saints Row series. Set in Hong Kong, the game follows Wei Shen, an undercover cop tasked with infiltrating the Triad criminal organization. Shen gains access to the gang through his childhood friend, who fell in with the wrong crowd, while Shen pursued a career as a police officer in San Francisco before being reassigned to Hong Kong. Sleeping Dogs has exceptional melee combat, fully embracing Wei Shen's martial arts background and incorporating brutal environmental takedowns. It also introduces a lightweight parkour system for fluid traversal, including the ability to leap from one vehicle to another for high-speed hijacks. Sleeping Dogs has it all. Fantastic gameplay, an engaging plot, interesting characters, and amazing missions that aren't overly serious.